I never felt truly excited about the idea of saving money until I discovered financial independence. Financial independence can look a lot of different ways, but I think the overarching theme of financial independence is having enough money that you can sort of live life on your own terms versus being beholden to any given employer or job. Financial independence is often talked about from the FIRE community, which stands for Financially Independent Retire Early. The concept of FIRE and principles from the FIRE movement are well documented in books like Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. This is kind of like the original text of the FIRE movement, but also in books like The 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, where people talk about an alternative way to living life than just reporting to a job 5 days a week. And there's many others that I have on my bookshelf in here as well. Authors from books like these will tell you that your financial independence number is basically however much you spend per year times 25. That number comes from a lot of research of historical data of how much money you truly need to live off of to sustain a portfolio for the rest of your life. One of the core retirement principles is that your portfolio needs to be large enough that you can withdraw 4% per year to cover all of your living expenses. And so long as you don't go over that 4%, your portfolio should basically cover you indefinitely. Your FIRE number, as defined by this community, is however much you spend per year times 25. So if my husband and I are spending $100,000 a year on our living expenses, that means that we need to have $2.5 million invested in order to be able to retire. So you could strive for this by traditional retirement age, which I think is about 62, or as what the FIRE community pushes, you could try to get that number before you're at traditional retirement age. And the knowledge that that was an option for me was when everything clicked. And that was when I got really excited about personal finance. Because suddenly saving money wasn't just this chore, this thing that I had to do. Saving money was actually buying back my freedom. And the thing about financial independence is yes, to literally retire and never work again, you need to have your annual expenses times 25, which probably sounds like an absurd number to anyone who's hearing this for the first time. But there are levels to financial independence. And a lot of people actually don't even want to get to that point where they just retire and never ever work again in their life. A lot of people who are ambitious enough to save 25 times their annual living expenses are ambitious people who want to do other things with their life. So there are levels to financial independence. You don't necessarily need to hit that number to be financially independent. There's actually a great article on CNBC that is based on an interview with two adherents to the FIRE movement, Corey and Jessica Fick, who are the founders of the Fioneers. They're part of the FIRE community, but you don't need to be part of the FIRE community to find value in some of these stages that they've identified. So I will link the article below, but the first level of freedom is debt freedom. So this is basically when you have paid off your debt and you no longer have high interest debt that you are paying off. This does not include mortgages, low interest debt like mortgages and student loans, where you kind of need these things to get by, but you are free of debt, and that is the first level of freedom. The next level is FU money. This is when you have enough money to basically get out of a bad situation. So if you were in a bad situation at work, you're in a toxic work environment, or if you are in a toxic relationship, you have enough money to pack your bags and get out of that situation. You have enough money to cover you until you're on to your next step. The third level that they have identified, and this is a topic that this couple talks about a lot, is Coast Financial Independence. And I actually love the idea of Coast Fi. It's basically when you have generated enough investments into your retirement funds or your investments in general, whatever you don't plan on touching for the next 30 years or so, whatever distance it is to get to traditional retirement age, you have enough money put aside that will eventually grow to your FIRE number. So there's actually a calculator that I can also link below from the Fioneers. So just to give a tangible example, if my husband and I are 31 years old, traditional retirement age is 65, so we plan on having some level of job for the next 34 years. Our safe withdrawal rate is 4%, which is the recommended amount. Our inflation adjusted growth rate, so this is how much our investments are going to grow in the market in the meantime, that is put down at 6%, which is basically the average 8% return minus 2% for inflation. And our annual expenses are $100,000 a year. We would need $344,779 basically parked away into retirement accounts. I know that that number doesn't sound like nothing, but it's still a big number. But this is a lot easier to get to than 2.5 million, which is actually how much we need that number to grow to. So basically, the concept here is that if we put that $345,000 into our 401ks, Roth IRAs, whatever it might be, and don't touch it, That's going to hit 2.5 million by the time that we're retired. And in the meantime, all we have to do is focus on covering our living expenses. And that's why Coast Fire is such a powerful level of financial independence to hit, because you know that money is working in the background. And in the meantime, if you are unhappy with your job, if you want to maybe take a pay cut and do something that's a little bit less stressful, if you want to work part time, you have that flexibility because you know that money is going to hit 2.5 million. All you got to do is focus on covering your expenses. So I feel like that is one of the most exciting phases to hit, is when you can hit Coast FI. Now, the fourth phase that they have identified in here is semi-retirement. So they describe this as someone could theoretically coast all the way to their retirement, but if you continue to contribute to your retirement accounts and live below your means, you may find yourself with the ability to live in semi-retirement, a state that some fire adherents have nicknamed barista fi. So this is basically when you can work less or accept a lower paying job that you find more enjoyable while supplementing your living expenses with withdrawals from your investment accounts. So at this point, you're kind of doing a combination of both. You are working to earn a little bit of money, but you're also withdrawing from your portfolio a little bit. So you're semi-retired because you're able to just kind of take a step back from working and have a more chill lifestyle that's not fully retired, but also not fully working either. And then at the final level, you reach financial independence, which is basically when withdrawals from your investments can replace your income that you otherwise earn from working, or basically cover all of your living expenses in a given year. So, okay, let's be real. A lot of us aren't going to be saving $2.5 million anytime soon. People do this, by the way. People do it. There's a lot of people in the fire community who have managed to put aside that 2.5 million. So it's not totally out of the realm of possibility, but there are levels to financial independence. This is where I wanted to ring the bells, let people know that there's another option out there. You don't have to just live on the hedonic treadmill. You can actually start to put money aside to start buying yourself back freedom. And again, that might not look like getting $2.5 million into investments by the time that you're 40, but it might look like putting $500,000 into investments by the time that you're 40 so that you're able to take a step back from work, take a few months off, take a year off, get a lower paying job, do mini retirements throughout your career, leave a job that no longer serves you. Having those options that money enables you is powerful. And if you haven't found a good reason as to why it's exciting to save for retirement or to put money aside for the future yet, perhaps this could be your reason. And that's why I wanted to share this today. Hope you found this video interesting. I will definitely be doing more videos on the topic of financial independence. Have you heard of the FIRE movement before? And if so, which stage of financial independence are you trying to work towards next?